Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the next in the personal year series with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. With that said, let's go straight into it. So personal year number 9. I was kind of excited about this one. And I mean, it's interesting because I said I'd do the personal year series quite a while ago. You know, I did the Life Path series, I think nearly 2 years ago now. So it's great to be able to bring you guys these. And it's really interesting seeing the comments and stuff, because I remember going through, certainly over the last 10 years, I can really sort of track my own progress and see how things have played out. But I haven't had a 9 year yet, and I'm in my 9 year at the time of filming this in 2020. So it's really interesting to me because I'm like, oh, okay, so now I get to see, you know, right, well, you know, firstly, I'm going into it with my eyes open, and second, I get to kind of see how this stuff is applied. So, I almost feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I get like a, like a little bit of a, not like a like a heads up, I guess. So, but I mean, that's what these videos are for, right? To help you, traverse your personal year number vibration, whatever you're experiencing. So 9 is the end of the cycle. It is the number of completion, attainment, and elevation. So it's a very, very powerful personal year number, because this is the year where you get to, like your 8 year was about putting it all into practice and really shooting for the stars. And your 9 year is where you land amongst the stars, right? This is where you really go for it. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how this year is going to play out for me. Very excited, a little bit nervous, but hey ho. So with that said, let's get straight to it. Your tagline for the personal year 9 is I feel, and this is if you haven't seen it yet, I talked about this in the Life Path series. Anyone with 9 energy, or if have a personal year number 9, I feel, right? This is a powerful number for empathy, and we're talking about true empathy, not being able, I mean, obviously, yes, being able to see things from other people's perspectives, but I'm talking about really feeling what other people feel. 9 is the original number of the empath. So the aspect of divinity that I've given to the number 9 is divine ascension, because ultimately the number 9 is the completion of the cycle, right? It's the end of what I call the human numbers. The human numbers are 1 to 9. The master numbers are 11, 22, and 33. So for me, this is the number of divine ascension, because once you get to that 9 year, that 9 culmination, from there, the only way that you pass through is through the 11, the 22, and the 33, and then you go back to the beginning of the cycle. Obviously it doesn't work like that exactly with the number sequences because of the way that they're structured and stuff, but you get the gist. So your characteristics of 9 energy, or the personal year 9, this is a year for wisdom. It's a year for philanthropy. It's a year to understand that everything is impermanent. And it's to understand that the material world has its beauty, but it doesn't last. Nothing lasts. We talk about things lasting the test of time, and it's relative, right? Because everything passes into existence, and it will pass out of existence the same way. Humanitarian, very, very big thing about the number 9. And finally, I've put here enlightenment. So it's not that you reach your personal year 9 and you're just suddenly enlightened and, I'm above all of this now. No, not at all. When I talk about enlightenment for your personal year 9, what I talk about is this is the culmination of all the things that you've learned throughout the last 9 sort of 10-year cycle, and it's what you now do with that energy. It's about where you now take it, what happens, shapes up, unfolds for you from here, with all of that in a complete sort of, it's where you are completing a big cycle of your life. 10 years is a long time. I think it was Bill Gates that said people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 10 10. 10 years is a very long time when you really think about it, and it's interesting as well because, the term overnight success is considered 10 years. So really interesting dichotomy there. So your blessings and your lessons. Your blessings are the natural things that will come easy, that might even be that might enhance life for you. Your lessons are the challenges or the moments where you might be a bit more unconscious, and what that shows up like if you are unconscious of this energy. So the blessings, charitable, this is, comes right into the humanitarian part of things. The 9 year, you will want to volunteer. You might be called to charitable giving, charitable causes. You might want to volunteer your time. You might want to do things for people. You may, sometimes this is on a really practical level, like helping somebody fix up their house or their garden. Maybe it is a kind word for friends. Maybe it's always being on hand for people. Remember, the 8 year was quite sort of, let's call a spade a spade. The 8 year is quite sort of personal and self-centered, selfish. Whereas the 9 year is all about what can I give? The 8 year is about what can I get from the world? What can I achieve or accumulate from outside? The 9 year is about what do I have in terms of resources, both inner and outer. What can I give to the world, and how much will the world be better for what I give to it? This is a year to really ask yourself, what can I give to the world? What can I give to people? What can I offer to the mass consciousness to elevate it in some way, shape or form? Kindness and understanding, big things for this year, to really learn the power that there is in kindness, the power and the wisdom that there is in being able to really understand where people come from, why they make the decisions that they make. And this is the thing with Enlightenment and the personal year number 9. Because you've transferred, and this is the thing, I'm 35 at the time of recording this, right? So I'm old enough now to have really seen, wow, okay, so 10 years ago I was 25, which is still really relatively very young, especially by today's standards. And you have a grasp on life, but you don't really have a weighty understanding. To be here now in my 9 vibration and looking back on this, to understand, right, wow, okay, so I've culminated all of those experiences. Now I can put them into practice. And this is what allows me to tap into just a speck, right? Because if you're truly enlightened, you're not going to be human. You ascend onto something else. But, just a speck of enlightenment to say, right, okay, I can stand on that history now. Right, I can look at all of that and take out of the toolbox any one thing that I need at any one time, and put it into practice in whatever way. And kindness and understanding this year will be your mother's milk. This will be the thing that you are fed on. Humble pie and kindness and understanding, those will be the things that are staples in your everyday diet. And I'm not talking about just your physical diet, I'm talking about, across the board. It's a year to be very successful. Shoot for the stars and aim for, and even if you fail, at least shoot for the moon, and even if you fail, you'll fall amongst the stars, as the saying goes, right? This is a year to do that. It's that culmination. It's the moment where you attain something, where you can finally put your hand on it, where you can see what all of it's been about, or, all of the continued effort, the sustained focus, the discipline, all of that, it all comes together in the 9 year. So yeah, when we talk about successful, absolutely. Spiritual, the number 9 is a very spiritual number. In fact, your most spiritual numbers are going to be your 7 and your 9. Those are the years that are for true spirituality. The number 9 is very altruistic as well. It has a real sense of, how do I treat everybody? As like in the 6th year, you learn how to nurture and nourish everybody outside of yourself. The 9 year takes that even further. It's interesting because 6 and 9 upside down, right? It takes that even further and says, right, how do I see everybody as my universal family, as my universal love, as my universal partner, as everything, right? How do I treat everybody outside there as I would treat all of the people in my own inner circle, so to speak? It's a year for true introspection and spirituality, but it's about utilizing that spirituality and showing up in the world in some way that is beneficial for people and also for yourself. Now, unique. This is where you rediscover your individuality. You get a glimpse of it in the 7 year. You really do come back to yourself in a big way in the 7 year, and even a bit in the 8 year actually. But it's not really until the 9 year that you really kind of come back into that, right, okay, this is who I am in relation to everything that I've learned, in relation to everything that I have seen, all of that, right? This is who I am now as a culmination of all of those experiences. Determined. Remember what I said, for those of you that haven't seen it, please check out all of the other numbers, because this is the thing, there's gems of wisdom in each one of them. You know, you could never say, oh, well, this number's better than that number, but it's just not true. Each one of them has its own energy, its own vibration, its own color, its own shape. And for that reason, what it gives you is this, each one of them has a beautiful color to add to the tapestry. Let's put it that way. It's not complete without any of them, but they all have little gems of wisdom that, I don't know, maybe one day I'll go through the whole lot, you know, with a fine tooth comb and just collect those and see what I can do with them. That'd make an interesting video, I think. But yeah, you know, to come back to this, and the reason I sidelined to that is because I always said, if you want to do a project, right, you would get your ones to start it. That's, you know, anyone that's in a personal year 1 or has a life path 1, those are the people that you want at the inception. The people to carry it through, you want the number 4, because those are going to be the people that really help you plan and build. And then you want your 9s, because they're going to be the ones that are determined enough to see it through to completion. They're going to be the ones that take it from, you know, from the inception to the conception and the building right through to putting the final finishing touches, or the cherry on top, so to speak. So very determined energy, and this is what you can tap into over the course of your personal year 9. Transcendent. This is a year where you can really rise above a lot of the things that life has thrown at you, especially if you've had a hard life, especially, I mean, and everybody has in some way, shape or form, you know, even people that we see who have had it relatively easy, you know, even they've had their struggles. Your 9 year is where you get to transcend the feeling and you start to understand why you had the experience. This is the year of that higher understanding, higher wisdom. It's the number of enlightenment for a reason, because you can look at things in enough of a detached way to say, right, okay, you know what, that sucked, but it was actually really worth it. It was really beneficial for me in the long run, because now I have that understanding and experience. I know how to, 1, avoid it happening again, and 2, I've really come to see the value in all of the experiences that I've had, not just the ones that I enjoyed. So your lessons on the other side of this, the unconscious expression of these energies, tight, can be really tight or stingy even, you know, and I hope I would never fall into that. That's one thing that, you know, my family instilled to me is not acceptable. So, you know, they got some stuff, but it's not necessarily great that they passed on, but that's one thing that I will take all day long. Self-centered, you know, this is the complete opposite, right? We go out of that altruistic sort of sense of, you know, how do I treat everybody like family? How do I love everybody out in the world? To, well, you know, what does the world owe me? What can I get out of it? All of that sort of stuff. Not necessarily a great expression. Number 9s can be quite rash. If they're unconscious, they can, because it's like, wow, there's a higher meaning to everything, so it. You know, okay. So, you know, they can be quite rash. Intolerant. This is one thing, you know, this energy, because don't forget, this is the energy that's overriding or permeating your life throughout the year because of the vibration that you're surrounded by. And what this kind of not instill in you, but it can create in you an intolerance for people that don't get things finished, for people that don't stand by their word, for people that aren't true to themselves or authentic. You know, all of those things can annoy you. And if you look at these, a lot of them are overlaps from all of the other numbers. Isn't that interesting that you got this kind of chameleon like sort of magpie nature within the number 9, where it borrows from everything and pulls it all into one divine sort of cosmic order in order to use it as an ascension platform. Very, very interesting there. Conceited, you know, if you know you're right 9 out of 10, it's kind of hard not to do you know what I mean? I remember having a conversation like something of that nature with my dad when I was, I think I might have been about 15 or 16. And he said something like that along those lines to me. It was just a really interesting conversation. Condescending. Because you are in many ways above a lot of stuff, not above people, you're not above anybody else. And this is kind of one of the things that I want to address with the master number life path people, because I've seen a lot of people in the comments like, oh well, you know, if you're in that place, you're in the unconscious stuff, you're living out the lessons, because that's not the whole point of it. This whole idea of being condescending as with a personal year 9 is you've seen a lot of it, you've done a lot of it, and so you're kind of, in a way, you're above the crap, but you might confuse that. Like, I'll give you an example. Nowadays everybody says, you know, we are all God. No, not in my opinion. We are all aspects of the divine. We are shards of the divine. We have a divine spark within us that came from the divine, but we ourselves are not God. It's a very slight, subtle difference, but it is a big difference actually when you start to look at the fundamental idea. And this is the whole thing about being condescending. You kind of are above that energy, but you have to find that balance point where it doesn't sort of be like, oh well, you know, I'll just pat someone on the head if they're having a bad day because I'm above it all. Okay, well, how about you bring yourself down to their level and remember what it was like when you were in that position? That could stop you from having that sort of condescending nature. Megalomaniac. I'm just like, it's funny because I'm looking at all of this stuff and I'm really trying to examine myself and say, right, how much of this am I expressing if I'm honest? Megalomaniac, I'm definitely sure I'm not expressing that. I mean, there are only, you know, there's still, another 8 months of the year to go yet, so hopefully I don't go into that place. But you know, this need for more, to grow, to expand, to go above, to go beyond, it could just be like a really big or indwelling driving force. You know, it could make you quite sort of tyrannic in a way as well. And this comes into this whole idea as well. If you're right 9 times out of 10, sometimes it can be hard not to, do you know what I mean? And I think a big part of this is as well, you'll see a lot coming this year before it even shapes up, before people make or maybe if people make certain moves or say certain things, you'll already be aware of where they're going with it. And, you know, when that's the case, you know, Professor X, just because you can read somebody's thoughts doesn't mean that you have the right to. Right, I'm just going to say that and leave it there. Because telepathy under this year, absolutely. Unrealistic. It's big, it's expansive. The number 9 doesn't look back, it looks out onto and into the master numbers. It looks upon the 11. That's where I ascend to next. That's where I go in order to make my way up the ladder even more. You know, number 9's been known to be akin to Jacob's ladder as well. If you know, then you know. So, what is the number 9 a year for, or a year to do? End things, but in a joyous manner. Endings and completions should be celebrated. Whatever completes or ends or leaves this year, and you'll find that this could be relationships, it could be friendships, it could be homes, it could be partnerships, it could be jobs. Literally, the number 9 has a very culminative energy. It's an energy that it tends to end a lot in your life, and this is a year to celebrate what you've had. Right, so when something comes to a close or comes to an end, if you find that energy to say, you know what, it was beautiful while it lasted, and this is what it's given me or taught me, you'll be doing it in the best way for all involved. Let's put it that way. This is a year to do a life overhaul. Get rid of old clothes, old items. This is a great year to, if you can do 1 month on, 1 month off over the course of the year, have that where you do 30 days, like every day you throw away something or you give it away rather than wasting it. This is a great time for that, because you're making way for the personal year number 1, or maybe even a master number. You need to be releasing stuff, both internal, in here, in the spirit, in the mind, physical items. You're clearing the way for that new cycle, that new energy. So letting go of things is going to be really important this year. It's a really great year to create a will, and that's not because all of us are going to suddenly keel over because it's a year 9. No, this is a year to get everything in order. It's a year for you to make sure that everything has its, to each thing its time and its place. This is a time for you to really get organized in that kind of respect. Address old hurts and fears and let them go however you can. Whatever that looks like. If it's counseling, if it's seeing a spiritual advisor, if it's building a spiritual practice, if it's maybe going to the gym and working it out that way, taking up yoga, tai chi, like whatever it is, your old wounds, your old the things that your old self identifies with. This is a year to really separate those things from you. It's a year to not hold on to anything. Whatever comes, allow it. Whatever goes, allow it. Number 9, personal year, the serenity prayer. Please give me the courage to face what I don't know it off by heart, but I'm sure everybody knows which one I'm talking about. Embrace change. It's a year to embrace change. Right. And this is an interesting one. If old partners or friends come back into your life in the personal year 9, you really need to examine why, right? And the reason I say this is because 8 out of the 10 times it's just going to be so that it can be looked at, assimilated. Thank you for teaching me this. Thank you for giving me this. And on we go on our separate ways. It tends to bring old partners and friends back in. And the reason being is because you need to assimilate what's been learnt, or maybe finish what was never completed, or have the conversation that was never spoken about. And then you go on your separate ways, more complete people. For a select few, those 2 out of 10, this will be about a reconnection, but it can't be the same connection. It can't be what you had then. It needs to evolve. And when you reconnect with this person, if it is one of those 2 out of the 10, you really need to do this. It's got to be 100% equal, whatever that means to you for that relationship. So this is a year for you to be forgiving, be open, be kind, welcome change, be so forgiving of yourself, of others. When you see people struggle with things, when people wrong you, when people come to you and apologize for something that they've done to you or something that hurt you, be open to finding that forgiving nature within yourself. Really find it within yourself. And when you do say that you forgive someone, be able to forgive and then truly let it go. And I'm talking to myself there. One of my taglines as a young man, moment of vulnerability. One of my taglines, and for this is because there's been some heartaches over the course of my life. I'll be really, really honest about that. And one of the things that I always said was, I will always forgive, but I'll never forget, because I'm never going to leave myself open for somebody else to do me that again. And what I've come to realize is that although the forgiveness is there, it's not complete. And you can only ever really complete your forgiveness journey if you're truly, really willing and able to let it go. And that's what I've come to understand at this point in my life. So that's something that I will be finishing or working on or with this year. Fall in love with life. Fall in love with yourself. Fall in love with the world. Love everyone and everything, right? This is a year to really discover what love actually means, not the film, to really discover what it means to be loved by somebody and to offer love to someone, and to really find the truth of what unconditional love actually looks like and what unconditional love actually feels like. To really live it, to embody it, to be all of it, and to embrace it in ways that you might never have been able to before. Shoot for the moon, ride the crest of the wave, right? So think of it like this. Oh gosh, that reminds me of a dream that I had nearly 2 years ago now. Yeah, think of it as like the 8 year was the wave sort of rising up, and your 9 years where you get your surfboard and say, right, let's fucking have it, right? This is the year to take on the ocean, right? Take on the ocean, but do not be the ride. It's my one of my personal taglines. I think I come up with that when I was like 16. One of my favorites. Listen to and trust your intuition. This is a great year for developing intuitive skills. These are going to be more along the line of healing. So, and this is the other thing as well about being open and connecting to people. You might just instinctively know what people need. You might be just 100% aware of what to say to people. You know, what are the words that they really need to hear? What is the comfort or the hand that they need to feel or to know? And you could be really aware of that this year. So really, really tap into your intuition and let it steer you, because it will take you in all sorts of amazing and wonderful directions. Consider that you're preparing for a brand new life, and it really is that, right? The next cycle that you go on to, especially if you're sort of 30 and up, you know, if you're in a year 9 and you're like 30 plus, I think you've got enough sort of behind you to look back and say, right, okay, you know what? Yeah. What's the next chapter? What does the next era of my life look like? You know, I'm not saying that if you're younger than that and you're watching this, don't think that, oh, well, that leaves me out. No, not at all. I'm just speaking from personal experience. I mean, you might be a really mature 24-year-old. I can't say that I was. I thought I was. And in some ways, I probably was. Maybe I'm selling myself short, but I just think, you know, once you pass look at me trying to sing the praises of the 30 plus club. Anyway, seek personal alignment and enlightenment, whatever those mean to you. This is a year for you to really find alignment with what really sits with you, with what feels like it's for you, with what path you are meant to walk. You know, really bringing things. When we say alignment, what do we mean? Bringing yourself in line with something. You know, whether this is a goal, whether it's a dream, whether it's a, you know, whatever it is, an experience. Your energy, your feelings, your mind needs to be able to foster having that thing. You know, it's all well and good saying, oh, you know, I really want to find a great loving relationship. Okay, well, do you know what kind of partner you want? Have you ever dated before? Are you going out to meet people? No, none of the above. Okay, well, you know, it's going to be quite hard for you to get in line with that. Do charitable works. What can you give to the world, you know, in any way, shape or form? What can you offer the world? This is a time for you to settle old scores and release old hurts and injustices. You know, if someone's done you a wronging, if they've hurt you, if they've bailed on you, if they've ghosted you, you know, if they've made you angry, if they've hurt you, if they've broken your heart, all of it, it's time to just let it go. Your personal year 9 is a time for you to really just release all of that stuff. Consider that the more you let go of internally and externally in the year 9, the happier you will be and the freer you will be to move in any way, shape or form that you need to come the personal year number 1, right? That's when you, right, okay, what does life have to offer me now? And what am I really ready to do and be? Make new friends, see new places. You know, yeah, make new friends and see new places for sure. What you start or charge now may not so whatever you start here in the year 9, you might not see the fruits until sort of like into the year 1, but it's definitely worth doing, you know, even if it is a year for culminations. Complete old projects, unfinished things, right? So if there are things outstanding, if there are, this is a year to fix it or forget it, right? It's another one of those type years. If you can't finish it, just let it go. Just cut it loose, especially if it's taking up too much time and energy to say, oh, you know, I need to do that, I need to do that. If you can't, or you have no intention of, just cut it loose. It will free up so much for you. Whatever or whoever leaves now in this year, let it go. Really just be ready to release it. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. None of this stuff is, life is not always easy. It has challenges. It has moments that push you and twist you and break you. But you have to keep going, right? And the whole point is sometimes things come to an end. Sometimes people leave our lives. Sometimes situations come to a close. In a 9 year, you're likely to have that, right? Whatever it is across the board. Take that experience, celebrate the ending, celebrate what it did give you, what it's taught you, and move beyond it. Just let it go. All right, what else? A year to be full of love, happiness, and friendship. Beautiful. Don't take anything too personally. And this, if you can get this whole sort of rise above it, but don't be condescending. Even when people kind of like this, it's funny actually, because I've had so many trolls this year already, and it's only like the first 2 months of the year, even though this is what, the 2nd of March, so that I'm filming this. I've had so many trolls this year. I mean, like, and some of them have been really, really nasty. And usually I'd be like, oh, but I'm just like, I haven't got time for it. I really don't. I'm so busy with everything else that I just don't have time for it. And it's not an energy that's important enough for me to go into. So thank you, but you know, you do your thing. So don't take it, and I don't take it personally. It's like whatever. Seek natural beauty as much as you can. Really, really important. Be patient with people. This is a year to really discover that altruistic, parental, universal patience and love for all things, including yourself, all things and all beings. And then finally, your key piece of advice for the number 9 personal year. Release your past and all old things. Be ready to move forward into a new life era. It's about as simple as I can put it, and I think that's probably one of the most powerful pieces in this whole 32 minutes. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how your personal year 9 is going. What do you love? What do you loathe? What are you working on through with? Whether you're watching this today, tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I hope that your personal year 9 is everything that it promises to be, and so, so much more. I wish you an abundance of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance itself. Go be awesome. Take care, and I'll see you soon.